The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Maine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it very much. Mr. Chairman, families in northern, central, western, and down east Maine are some of the hardest working, most honest people you can find in the country. They expect and they want a more effective and a more accountable government that works for them, sir, and not against them. Now, one of the most important jobs of the federal government is to make sure that we protect American workers against unfair and unlawful trade practices. This is very clear in our Constitution, and the Founding Fathers made this clear to us all. Today, here in Washington, the International Trade Administration is responsible for enforcing these trade rules. Last year, 3 of our major paper mills in our district, the 2nd District of Maine, in Bucksport, Old Town, and Millinocket, closed. 1,000 of the most skilled paper makers in the world are no longer working, and those 1,000 paychecks are no longer flowing to their families to help them care for their kids. This year, in Central Maine and Madison, Maine, a 4th paper mill is now facing difficulty and has temporarily shut down a couple times and furloughed another 200 workers. Now, if you talk to the folks that own the mill and work on the floor in Madison, they cite 2 reasons. Number one is the high cost of energy to run their machinery. And secondly, a provincial government in Canada has provided about $125 million of unfair subsidies to a competing paper mill across the border. These subsidies, which are unlawful and unfair, have allowed this competing paper mill to buy new equipment and to subsidize the cost of energy to run their machinery. And as a result, the price of supercalendered paper that's made across the border and also in Madison, Maine, has plummeted, causing our mill in Madison to temporarily shut down and furlough its workers. Now, this, Mr. Chairman, is not right, and this is not fair. American workers are the best in the world. We can compete with anybody in any industry in the global marketplace as long as it is a level playing field. Now, as our office, Mr. Chair, got involved in this issue, the ITA made it very clear to us that they did not have the staff able to fully address this issue in what we believe to be is a full and thorough and comprehensive investigation, including a number of different paper mills when it comes to these unfair subsidies. Now, up in our district, we are very frugal. We are fiscal conservatives. And the folks in Maine can stretch a dollar, Mr. Chair, wider than anybody else in the country. So I am not suggesting that we increase the size of government and we increase spending. Quite the opposite. I believe our government's too big and too intrusive. However, I do have a solution to this problem. My amendment, Mr. Chair, asks that we transfer less than 5% of the funding this year going to the Census Bureau and transfer it to the ITA such that they have the resources to thoroughly and effectively conduct an investigation dealing with these unfair provincial subsidies in Canada. Now, not only will a thorough and fair investigation help our workers at the Madison Mill in Central Maine, but it'll also help the backlog of cases at the ITA that affect tens of thousands of workers in various industries all throughout America. We all know in this room, on both sides of the aisle, that fair trade results in more jobs. All of us here in this chamber want to make sure we do everything humanly possible to help our companies grow and be more competitive, more successful, and hire more workers. And when that happens, Mr. Chair, our workers have better lives with more opportunities, more freedom, and less government dependence. This is about jobs, Mr. Chair, and it's also about national security. And I ask my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, to please support this amendment to make sure that we have fair trade in this country. I yield back my time, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.